Hello, welcome to today's video. In our lesson today we're learning about rock ballad, accompaniment, rhythmic variation number 1. I know it's a pretty big word, pretty big name, but that's exactly what we're going to be learning about today. There are many different types of variations for accompaniment that we can create when playing rock music. And so for today's lesson we're going to discuss first of all how to play or manipulate a triad. We may be talking about other kinds of chords later on. This can definitely be applied to other types of chords, but today mostly we're going to talk about the triad. So let's take a look at a few examples of triads. We're going to go ahead and put our cymbals. Oops, not C, you're supposed to go the other way. Okay, so we have the chords C, F, I'm sorry, let's try that again. Let's put these chords instead. F, G, and C. And our Roman numerals are, for the scale degrees, 4, 5, 1. And that's according to C major. Okay, so we know how to play these triads. Or we can also play with octaves in the left hand. Okay? So, the way this rhythmic variation for rock ballads is going to be, it's quite simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the top 2 notes of the triads, played together harmonically as an 8th note, and then the second 8th note will play the bottom note, or the bass of that triad. And it's going to look like this. Okay? So as you can see here on the whiteboard, we have our F major chord. We have F, A, and C, except it's been manipulated rhythmically. The top 2 notes, the 3rd and the 5th, are played together harmonically as the first 8th note, and the second 8th note to the and of either beat will be played individually as the bass. And of course we can play this as many times as we need according to the time or the feel of our music. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like just for the right hand. So just like that. Practice playing this progression or this rhythmic variation with all of the keys or all of the chords in the chromatic chord exercise number 1, the chromatic chord exercise number 2, either chromatically or according to the circle of fifths. Let's go ahead and try it with the circle of fifths, just for fun. Okay? And we're going to go to the right. For fun, I'm going to go ahead and add a bass note as an octave for the left hand. You could also play this with both hands. It is up to you. I may move around back and forth. But be prepared to do it either way, whether together or with an octave in the left hand. Here we go. Okay. And so, of course, we will follow the circle of fifths and go either way with those chords or with the octaves. Let's go the other way now. Okay, so now we're going the other way. You may be noticing that I'm using a pedal. You can either use a pedal or not. It's up to you. So as you can see, I was moving around so I didn't have to go too low. And this, of course, will be affected by your chord progression. Always be prepared to adjust depending on the sonority or the octave you are in. Okay, so let's go ahead now and do this with the chromatic chord exercise. Let's do chromatic chord exercise number 1. So you're going to do it 4 times. Usually I have a fingering of 3, 5, and 1. I may change it up a bit to 2 and 4. It just depends. Whatever you are comfortable with. You may also change your fingering for the octave to be either 1 and 5 or even 1 and 4. And of course, you'll come back down, and we're going to maintain that rhythmic variation as it is. We're not going to go the other way. We may explore that some other time. All right, now that we have practiced this with the circle of fifths and with the chromatic chord exercise number 1, let's go ahead and take a look at a real-world situation or a real-world example. And we're going to also go in inversions. So let's say we use the same chord progression, F, G, C, but now we're going to add some inversions. And we'll just keep that one as it is. Okay, so we see here that we have the chord progression F, G, C, G, D, which is F first, second inversion, G, second inversion, and C. Now we're going to leave the last chord ambiguous. Now, when we make progressions, we have to make decisions as a pianist. How are we going to follow proper voice leading? Voice leading dictates that we should follow the notes that have a pull towards other notes, such as 7 going to 1, 4 going to 5, etc. Okay, so the first chord, F, C, will be played like this. Once again, you will manipulate the rhythm by playing the top 2 notes of the chord and then playing the bass of the note by itself as the second eighth note. And as you can see, what I did is I played the C major chord in first inversion. Now, why do you suppose I did that? Well, one reason could be we wanted to keep the essence of the chords pretty much in the same style. Or we could also have played it for practicality reasons or for making the progression simply easier in the hands. We don't want to be moving around as much. So this doesn't require a lot of movement from that chord to that chord. We do see that we have a common note right there, G, to make us nice C chord. And it's perfectly fine to do that here because we do know that the bass, C, is being played with the left hand. Let's go ahead and see if we can put that in root position, the last chord, and hear what it sounds like. And we're going to go this way. So from what I heard, now this is entirely subjective, but sometimes the feel of a progression can help the song feel as though it is ended, or it can also feel as though it is not quite ready to end, as though it's pulling or it's priming towards another progression, another way, and it feels like it needs to continue. When we do that progression, may stop, or it may feel like we want to keep going. So let's play it again, and now we'll go this way. It sounded like it wanted to keep going is because when we were at this chord here, notice how I had the 7th scale degree being played, and usually it says in voice leading that this note will pull to the 7th scale degree to resolve properly. And that's what we feel gives it a more reposed or more solid kind of closure. A word for this cadence, this is called a cadence, is perfect, authentic cadence. A perfect, authentic cadence means that the top note is the root and the bottom note is the root. Let's practice that one more time. Let's go ahead and try it with the same rhythmic variation. A trick or an addition to this rule. Let's say we want to play both this note and that note after playing our G in second inversion. Well, guess what? We can play that as an octave chord. So octave chords do exist. You simply take the triad and add an octave for the bass or the root. In this example, it's C. Let's go ahead and try that progression by playing it as an octave chord. And as you can see, it has a really nice sound of closure, and it is perfect authentic cadence. So practice these rhythmic pop ballad, this rock ballad rhythmic variation as an accompaniment in all the chords that you have learned, and of course practice them in all inversions. And we will see you next lesson.